My first
What? What?
man
Say it.
emoted.
Say it.
First things first. Are you burnt out on keyboards or the hobby in general?
Yes, help me please. Like, oh my god. Keyboards, switches, what is real anymore? I don't know. Okay, but actual answer, yes, I am actually kind of burnt out on the whole keyboard thing
Yeah.
itself. That's mainly why my channel exists, because I don't like doing normal keyboards. Like
Right.
if you've ever actually seen my channel, shout out my channel by the way, shameless
Shout out
plug.
Squashyboy, best channel. Yeah.
I don't like making standard custom keyboard videos. So like your standard I would your standard Echo keyboards,
Right.
your maybe keycode or like all the normal keyboards. I don't normally do them because I
Right.
find them boring. Like yes, you can have a custom keyboard which is really cool, like a mode 65. Like
Right.
wow,
But
mode.
everybody has that.
But everybody has that. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And I mean, so what? Like, I mean, my custom keyboard as of now, it's coming out for a later video. It's a modded Wu-Ting in a Tofu 60 case, like a
That's
Tofu 60
sick.
case. So
That's
it's
cool.
kind of cool. It's not really unique because it's just a Tofu 60 case,
Right.
but it has the performance of a Wu-Ting, and I can play Osu better. So I find it interesting, and I rather do stuff like that. And also the reason why I do like really weird builds, like keyboard in a wood case that I made from a table, a keyboard in a cyber truck thing. It's weird. It's weird. It's definitely
Yeah.
weird. But I don't find custom keyboards like the normal custom keyboards anymore particularly interesting to me anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like, yeah, I'm building a new keyboard. Oh, this is my new insert something that is vague here 65 or 87 or depending on what size it is. And it's probably going to be that same keyboard, like, I don't know, gasket mount. I could probably guess your keyboard like right now. Gasket mounted PBT keycaps or ABS, one of the two materials. I mean, we literally have those only two materials. And it probably talks like
Clacks, but yes, everything else is right.
clack talk.
Exactly.
My keyboard, it's fast. It
Yeah.
works. Literally, yeah. If the
Yeah.
keyboard works, I don't find it any different than any other normal keyboard. So yeah, that's my take on the keyboard scene as of
Yeah.
now.
I get that.
Who knows?
completely.
It might change. It might change.
So, do you still enjoy watching keyboard content?
Yes, actually, I actually still do enjoy watching keyboard content because it's not about like me buying my latest keyboard. I just want to see
Right.
what's in the whole scene, and it's interesting to see where this community goes because remember this keyboard community was a niche. It was a
Right.
really small niche where we had to clip stabilizers. Who does that nowadays? Like literally nobody
Right.
ever clips stabilizers anymore. I'm pretty sure half the viewers watching this
Don't know what
even
that is.
clipping
Yeah,
stabilizers.
exactly.
Don't know what clipping stabilizers is. But this hobby was so niche. We didn't know what loop was good. We didn't know where to put what. And it was fun exploring. So,
Right.
ooh, someone put foam in a case. Now the keyboard sounds really deep. Oh my god, that's so cool. Let's all
Right,
do
I
that. And
remember.
then, yeah, it becomes big. But now when bigger corporations are coming in, especially the bigger gaming companies, like I'm pretty sure Corsair and AOG, is it? No, ROG.
Yeah.
They recently released that special keyboard of theirs. It's cool, but you're a big corporation. The niche is kind of dying, and now all our cut foam that we used to cut, like random pieces of packing
pre-cut.
foam that we put,
Yeah.
it's pre-cut. It's also pre-cut for the PCB.
Right.
There's random other pieces of foam which just doesn't make sense, and it's becoming very
Right.
normal. I guess it's no longer unique. Like one thing I actually really enjoyed seeing a custom keyboard last time was like what 3 years ago, 4 years ago, when you go online and watch one of your famous content creators, you see the keyboard and be like, oh,
Right.
okay, he changed his keycaps. Oh, he has a custom keyboard. That's pretty cool.
Right.
Now go and watch any tech YouTuber. I can guarantee you 100% they have a custom keyboard and it's
Right.
either built by them or built by someone else. And
Right.
it's 100% going to be a custom keyboard. because everybody wanted a nice keyboard, and now everybody has one. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely out there. We definitely became something. Congrats, guys! Thanks for
We became
making
something.
the community. We became something. Like
crazy.
one thing in the old keyboard scene, which I see a lot, was modded switches or like
Right.
Franken switches.
Right, right.
But we don't have that anymore.
Those don't
Like
exist.
nobody
Yeah.
does that anymore because if you want a switch which probably has a palm top and like a clear base for some reason, it probably already exists.
Right, exactly.
Literally the Echo series of switches, they're really good. They're also pre-looped and they basically fill up the entire like
Yeah.
category of any switch you want. So yeah, there's really no reason to even Franken switch a switch anymore.
Yeah, I get that completely. I used to love Franken switches. Because like we only had the Zilios, the Telios, some Gatoron switches, and some Kale switches. You'd
Oh my
putting
God.
those together and shit. I started with Otemu Reds, putting those together with like tab switches. It was amazing. But now,
Those were the times, man. Those were the times
yeah,
where
exactly.
there were the Gatoron Ink lineup, there was the
Right.
Gatoron normal lineup, there was Zelios, Telios, Holy Pandas came out of nowhere,
Right.
and that was it. There was just like literally no other Switch on the market. So it's like, oh,
I
what Switch should
remember.
I get? Should I have Frankenstein Switch? Oh, now go search switches. Like try to tell me,
1,000,000 switches.
yeah,
Yeah.
which Switch you want, because I can't even give a recommendation for a Switch
Exactly.
anymore.
Yeah, for me, when people ask me what's the smoothest switch, I will still say the Telios V2. Cause like
I mean, yeah,
it's my
default, right?
favorite. Yeah, exactly. It's like the default first one I've ever had, first like mechanical one that I actually bought. I was like, it was cool.
Yeah.
I miss those days. Do you feel the market is oversaturated, bland, or that it has plateaued in some way?
Oversaturated, bland, or plateaued.
Right.
I wouldn't say it's bland because we
Right.
definitely have a bunch of keyboards coming out. It kind of blend if you would say like gasket mounting because every other company wants to
Yeah.
do gasket mounting. One thing my friend specifically pointed out was a lot of companies do gasket mounted, but they don't understand that if you have a gasket mounted keyboard,
You need space.
you can't have foam underneath.
Exactly.
Because if you have foam underneath the gasket mount, it's just a tray mount.
Exactly. This is a tray mount. It's a gasket, but it feels like a tray mount.
This is a tray mount.
I know,
mean,
it's cra- I mean,
just a
it
tray
is.
mount. It's not really a gasket. but yeah, no, there's a lot of companies that don't understand that.
That's insane.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Just like when the GMMK Pro came out, it was just gasket mounted, but there was no space, not even foam. Like,
Yeah, I didn't like that. I'm pretty sure they had a press cut plate which had
Yeah.
like it wasn't CNC, so it had
Right.
this like really weird dent of like every corner. The tolerance wasn't great. I don't know whether they changed it
Right.
yet, but I can't believe they were selling that more expensive than
it's
like,
crazy,
custom
$300.
keyboards at the time.
Anyway, so you do think it's not bland, but is it oversaturated or has it like plateaued? Has it reached the top?
We definitely have cooler keyboards coming out every now and then, but then again, I think it's really hard to say because I think there's a bunch of companies now, especially when the big boys are coming in.
Right.
They're doing really cool things with the keyboard, especially the ROG keyboard and the screen on the keyboard. That's really cool. So I don't think we have reached the limit yet. I've still yet to see a good custom mechanical keyboard which has a LED screen that works like an Elgato.
Right.
But,
or like a Steel Series one.
Or a Steel Series
Yeah.
one. Yeah, no, like we still definitely have a ways to go. Like I don't
Right.
think we've reached the top. But in terms of saturated, I think it is kind of saturated now with every other Chinese company trying to come out with a new
Right.
gasket mounted
Yeah.
keyboard, which is just not gasket mounted. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
they're trying to
that
just cash
makes
in on
sense.
the trend, I guess. Yeah.
I completely agree with that. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
I'll ask again. Okay. So, do you still enjoy building keyboards, just to yourself or on video? Up to you.
Looking past the whole YouTube thing, I actually still do enjoy building my own keyboards. So I recently modded one of my friend's keyboards actually, and it was fun at my own pace, with
Right.
music on a Saturday afternoon, just modding a keyboard, just slowly lubing. It's a very fun pastime
Yeah.
if you're like into repetitive stuff. Or if you want to watch a movie and just don't want to be useless while watching a movie,
Exactly. Yeah.
modding a keyboard is actually a really good thing to do. So yeah, I actually still do enjoy modding keyboards. If I have to
Film
put
it.
the YouTube thing, if I have to film it, filming, I would say if you guys ever want to go into filming a YouTube video will add like 60% extra time into modding
Right.
something. So a switch, the part where I loop the switch, it could take like 30 minutes to an hour, but filming it becomes like 2 hours.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not
Because you need to
great.
change the angles all the time. And
Yeah, you need to change the angles, you make sure it's focused, you make sure that shot was good.
Right.
So filming it, not that great. I don't really like filming
Mhm.
keyboard modding stuff, but I do enjoy doing it on my personal spare
Yeah.
time.
It's cool to see that the love for it is not dying, but the love for filming it is like slowing down because it is hard to film your keyboard.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Next one is, do you feel creatively restricted with your video ideas or the need to move on to something other than keyboards?
No, actually, I'm really comfortable in keyboard. Yes, I really want to get out of the keyboard scene. Dude, there's so many ideas that I have, which I just cannot put them out into videos.
Same.
Because it would just be so weird. It would just be like,
Right.
where did this come from?
Mhm.
So, an example, which I'm pretty sure this is going to be done soon if I don't get it done in time. But I'm pretty sure this is a banger. This is definitely going to get like 10 million views. Just imagine this thumbnail, okay? Like, picture this.
Yeah.
The left side of the thumbnail. Minecraft Steve.
Oh my god.
Dude, that video will literally be at the top of YouTube recommended for like a good 2 weeks. Like, I really want to do that. I need to get a crane. I don't know how I'm going to get a crane, but I really want to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's a banger video.
You
And it would
definitely
be just
should.
me the whole time, like on a harness, trying to like flail around with like huge cubes. I literally have it here.
Oh my god.
I really want to do that, but I can't.
Yeah.
I don't
So you do
can't really do it
feel
on my YouTube channel.
yeah, so you do feel creatively limited or creatively restricted with your videos.
Yeah.
Because
Because,
you have to be in the keyboard niche. Yeah.
You have to be in the whole keyboard niche. One thing that I can get out of, which is the the whole collab thing, where I
Yeah.
get the person on the other side to name me a show or something they're interested in. I go and do research on that, and then I recreate scenes of that show in real life, and then do the keyboard based off that. So I guess that's a good coping mechanism. Other than that, it's
Yeah.
my ads. My ads are like where I actually put most of my creative freedom into because I really do have creative freedom.
Yeah.
So yeah. Other than that, I
Great.
do feel a bit restricted with the whole keyboard scene. Maybe I was creative last time, but the whole army thing probably like brainwashed me into thinking that I'm not.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel I want to do more things, and that's why I have the second channel going on.
Yeah.
Like just random vlogs and stuff.
So the second last question is, what would you suggest to improve this situation or make you more satisfied with a keyboard hobby or keyboard content?
Unfortunately, I don't think I can. I don't think I can recommend anything because the keyboard content is not the problem.
Right.
Like, there's nothing wrong with posting out keyboards. There's nothing wrong with the whole modding out your own keyboard.
Yeah.
It's the main problem is that I put myself in here. it's mainly that. It's mainly that. Because
Yeah.
I used to really do wild videos last time when I was
Right.
in the whole Osu scene because I was starting out. I just tried random things, and some of which were good, some of which were maybe not so good. But yeah, with the whole keyboard thing,
Yeah.
kind of put myself into like the most boring hobby. But then again, I would say that is actually kind of why I came into this hobby. Because my main goal coming into the keyboard hobby, and I don't really say this much to people, but the whole reason why I even came into the keyboard hobby was because A, it was stale, and B,
Right.
no one was really interested in it. So what were the two fixes for that? Make interesting content of keyboards. Before the time of Glarses, his whole mega channel, there was really not much interesting content on keyboards, and they weren't
Right.
funny, they weren't great. I would say there were mainly four keyboard content creators. So,
Right.
the big hit, Tia Types, Tay Keyboards, if you remember him. And,
Oh, yes.
if I'm not wrong, Random Frank P was part of it.
Yeah.
I think he came in slightly later, but he was
Yeah,
part of the
exactly.
keyboard hobby.
But he didn't
And
like it wasn't like completely. It was on and off.
yeah,
with
yeah,
Random
it,
Frank.
it was an
Yeah.
on and off thing. And I can't really remember the last guy. I used to watch 3 main keyboard channels, but yeah, it was kind of just like I'm building keyboard. That's pretty
That's
much
it,
it.
yeah,
Alright, thanks
exactly.
for watching. So I was like, what can we do? My favorite thing to do is to put myself into a restrictive creativity. Is that what's called?
Yeah, restricted creativity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
restrictive creativity, where you purposefully put yourself in a
In
tough situation,
boundaries. Yeah.
in boundaries, and say, what can I do with that? And
Mm-hmm.
then creating the solutions for that is where I get my excitement to
Right.
do YouTube.
Me too.
And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's why I enjoyed the keyboard hobby so far.
Cool. Okay. Cool. So, is there anything that would make you enjoy it even more than that?
Right, that was the question.
Yeah.
I kind of went on the whole
No,
rant
that's
thing.
okay. That's fine.
Um, Honestly, I don't think so. I think keyboard community, like going back to my original point, it's fine. It's perfectly fine
Yeah.
where it is. I will just adapt to however it goes.
So the last question is there anything else you'd like to say relating to the hobby or just to yourself as a whole?
Don't let others judge what keyboard you have, even though I say some keyboards suck. As long as
Yeah.
your keyboard works, it's a great keyboard.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you have cherry browns, I'm even including cherry browns. My guys, cherry browns, they're fine if it works. Like literally, even if you have a membrane keyboard,
Right.
because I have some people coming up to me and they're like, "Bro, I have a really shit Razer keyboard. If it works, it's fine. Like it's not bad." So I don't think. Ooh, okay. To elaborate on that point, maybe the final say is keyboard community or keyboard people. Let's try not to gatekeep this hobby because it's a hobby for everyone.
He said
And it's
it.
not just for like, it's not just for people who are like of higher status. I
Yeah.
have a premium keyboard. My
Exactly.
keyboard is the best. No, everyone should have like their
Exactly.
say in keyboards.
Yeah, that's what I
yeah.
think. I think we cannot be gatekeeping our hobby if we want it to keep growing, and we have like, come on. I love my hobby, but sometimes I enjoy foam in my keyboard or some flex cuts. It's like you don't have to gatekeep and tell me no, that's bad. Sometimes I like doing it, so let me do
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. So first things first, are you burnt out on keyboards or the hobby in general?
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Burnout. All right.
Yeah.
Do you still enjoy building keyboards?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I haven't built a keyboard in a while, but it's just because of uni. So like,
Yeah.
I have stuff sent to me, but they're just sort of sitting in a box.
Oh, yeah.
I literally just don't have time. Like, I'm either in the gym studying volleyball with like friends, or yeah. So building keyboards don't really have time for that. Whether or not I enjoy it anymore, I really don't know. I hope like something comes up again and makes me interested in building keyboards again. But for the foreseeable future, it's sort of something that I wouldn't mind doing, but the magic of it is gone. Because I feel like once you do so many, there's not much that makes it so unique anymore. At some point, it is just like,
Yeah.
just labor.
Do you feel the market is oversaturated, bland, or that it has plateaued in some way?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been so out of loop with everything keyboard related, so I honestly have no idea what the market is like. I see like there's some videos on
Yeah.
stuff. Genuinely, like I don't know, I don't really like care anymore. Like I guess it is quite oversaturated where there
Yeah.
are a lot of keyboards, but I see like there's some keyboards that stick out to me where it's like, oh, this looks interesting, this is cool. But I don't see the novelty of it anymore. Like I don't know what else you can bring to a keyboard other
Yeah.
than it sounds good, the material's great. Like that's all cool, but I haven't felt that magic again. Like Satisfaction 75 was probably one of the last keyboards where I went like, ooh, this is so dope. Or
Yeah.
like Angry Meow was doing some cool stuff like Hatsu, Cyberboard, like that was all unique stuff.
Right.
But at some point, I feel like it's hard to like beat what's already there because I feel like they've, I'm trying to find the words for it.
Take your time.
They've already reached such a great level of keyboards where it's kind of hard to go up because I feel like we've at some point like peaked.
Yeah.
Not to say that keyboards are crap now, but it's just
Yeah.
like we've already reached like such a great level. It's hard to go even higher,
Yeah. Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And actually, you share the sentiment with a lot of other people that I've interviewed. Do you still watch or enjoy watching keyboard content?
No. The only person I watch is probably Glasses because he has such great guests and
Yeah.
his content is so like outside of there. But if it's just like a keyboard review or like Switch review, like
Yeah.
I can't find a reason to watch it because one, I don't have time. If I get back into the scene and start building, yeah, I'm gonna start watching videos to research and like get inspiration. But I know when I get back to YouTube, my content's gonna be really different. So I'm watching more like I've gone in more into like fashion videos and more like lifestyle. Like I've been introduced to like food vlogs. I don't know what the hell the hype is about, but they get millions of views. It's literally just people cooking, eating in front of a camera like this close. And that's just entertaining as hell. I don't get it. So yeah, I mean, I don't watch keyboard videos anymore, except for like glasses. They need like a good twist. Like Squashyboy, I think Squashyboy and glasses are like my top two.
Yeah.
Watch. Other than that, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone said that. Everyone said that.
What, the food vlogs?
No, not the food vlogs part. That's uniquely you. Do you feel creatively restricted with your video ideas or the need to move on to something other than keyboards? Actually, it does.
Yeah,
it
sure.
does.
Like when I come back to YouTube, for sure, like there is a lot of restriction, but I've done it before where I went from like Team Fortress 2 and like all this video game stuff to keyboards. So I'm quite confident I can do it again. And I feel like I've been such a degenerate for long enough, like watching YouTube videos in my bed, where I've like gained enough like understanding of what are the trends now, like short form content. And Hipio did the same thing as well. Like I mean, he's still very deep into keyboards, but he made a great switch to like short form and long form. And he's just blown up. So like, yeah, I don't think it's impossible. Just gotta like be smart about it.
Next question is, what would you suggest to improve the situation, like the burnout situation? What would make you less burnt out?
Make it better. Okay. If it's to like other YouTubers, what I found helped is like going outside and experiencing things. So like for me, what helped is like uni and like finding another hobby. So like volleyball, I'm probably not gonna make content on it because I know once I start making like my love for volleyball into like a job, I'm gonna hate volleyball too. So get a hobby that you don't make money off of, where it's purely just for enjoyment. So for me, that's volleyball. And then from there, like I make friends. I build like a club in my uni, and like so I have like this whole thing that like no one from the Hamaji scene knows about, and it's just like this passion I have that I can like when I'm burnt out, I just go straight there, enjoy, have a great time with friends, go for drinks after, and then come back home. I can do whatever else. Yeah, like just going outside, having good time with friends, having a good social life outside your work is good. When they have like nothing, like my group of friends, I don't talk about my YouTube channel at all with them because I don't want them to bring it up. Like when I'm with them, I want to talk about them. I want to talk about like my life, nothing to do with Hawaji shit. So yeah, having like different like circles.
You can also like relate it to the keyboard scene if there's something that will bring you back to keyboards.
I think having a way of making content that's not simply reviewing. So I think Glasses makes it fun where he like does things with like, I don't know, like guests or he makes it into a game and sort of like it makes keyboards like fun again. Because I feel like I burned myself out where I went like the Tay keyboard / Teha types way, where I went straight to reviewing and it was just like, okay, let's look at the specs, let's look at the materials. Wow, look at the flex. And at some point I was like, hell man, I don't give a shit.
I don't want to
about
say
these
this.
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool, this plate bends.
Yeah, like what am I saying? It's like you look at your hands like
like, wow, pick this because it sounds better. It's like, really, I don't know. Yeah, make it into a fun way, and the viewers will also feel. I know I want to make more like piss take content on keyboards where I just shit on it for fun, like for fun, and like I think frugal aesthetics.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he like what he does is like he does like what your keyboard says about you. So what your fit says about you. Like fits of 2022, shit like that. Like I want to do stuff like that where it's just like low effort but fun.
Last question: is there anything else you'd like to say? Just anything at all?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna come back to YouTube sometime soon. But I will be pivoting from keyboards to more like lifestyle stuff. So like,
all right, great.
Don't exactly know what that is, but it'll probably be great. So stick around. Thanks for all the support. And thanks for all the DMs I get on Hamajineo, such as short white men from America come scurrying to me like rats. Something like that. I don't know. Have you watched that guy? The guy in the suit?
No, I don't think so.
What? He's so good.
Send that to me. The fuck?
No, I'm gonna play it right now. I don't care if you get copyright strikes or anything. That guy is so good.
Oh my god, it's this guy.
Men from England scurry to me like rats. Action. I am
Stay the fuck away from him.
This kid needs to get laid. Little white men.
Yeah, that's what I have to say. That's what I have to say. That's what I have to say to everyone. Little white men from America come scurrying to me like rats.
Are you burnt out on keyboards or the hobby in general?
Oh, I think I'm burnt out on keyboards instead of the hobby. I still enjoy the hobby. I
Right.
still enjoy when I'm building a board, not on camera. Sometimes I'll buy a secondhand board like a Zoom 65. I don't want to do a video on it. I'll spend my own time just relaxing, no filming. It's really fun. It's actually really like it really calms me down. Yeah.
Okay.
But
cool.
the hobby, no.
Do you still enjoy watching keyboard content?
This is a hard one, but I enjoy it just like everyone else, you know, we all have our own type of content that we like to take in.
Right.
So some that I really enjoy are the really cinematic ones, like Devoki. Devoki is one of my favorite cinematic creators. Like his shots,
Right.
his timing and everything is like perfect. And aside from that, it's probably like squashy videos or glasses videos.
Yeah.
Freaking
The
goated
entertaining
videos.
ones.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the entertaining ones.
Yeah, so cinematic ones and entertaining videos. Yeah. Do you feel bored with some of the content, like some of the reviews?
Definitely. Mainly, I would say it's because I am able to like gain access to such keyboards. Like most of the time when keyboard companies release boards,
Yeah.
like it's not only me who's getting the board. Like a lot of other people are getting the board at the exact same time. And after filming it and editing the video where I'm looking at the keyboard for like 48 hours straight, I don't really want to look at the board anymore
Right.
from someone else. Unless the board is like really interesting, I'm not going to look at that board anymore. So yeah, I don't really touch on reviews anymore.
Do you feel the market is oversaturated, bland, or that it has plateaued in some way? The keyboard market.
In my opinion, I don't think it has. Like, I feel like a continuous push in like, even if it's a lot of bots that everyone's pushing out, even if it's the same thing, like, because I personally have tried pushing out a bot of my own, and I never knew the process behind it. I've always been the one receiving the bot and giving my remarks on it. But now that I've gone through my own process of creating it and waiting for someone to review it, it makes me appreciate like how much effort that everyone goes through just to push a bot out into the market.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think it's a bad thing. I really do appreciate like everyone who pushes out a bot, even if it's the exact same thing. The person still put in their own thought to design the bot to what they want. So, like, I don't think it's oversaturated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think though it has plateaued? Like there's not really much more we can do with it with keyboards.
Probably yes. Like I don't, unless someone comes up with a new mount or
Right.
like some kind of new layout or some sort. Like I'm pretty sure we have basically peaked in keyboards. Like
Right.
this is the peak of where we are at right now.
Yeah. This one I think we talked about a little bit, but do you still enjoy building keyboards?
Yes, I actually do enjoy building keyboards, especially for like. I enjoy it more when I'm building it for someone else, like for someone who hasn't tried keyboards. You know, when you get that first reaction to a custom
Right.
keyboard, they're probably using like a Razer or RK, and they get their hands on like a hefty board, like that's 2 kg. They're like, wait,
Right.
this is a keyboard? Like that's one of the best feelings in the world. Like I enjoy building boards for someone who hasn't gotten to test out a custom keyboard yet.
Do you feel creatively restricted with your video ideas or the need to move on to something other than keyboards?
I do feel restricted. Last year, I basically tried to branch out into the computer or more tech in general side of things. I reviewed a graphics card.
Right.
I think I built my computer again, and that I really enjoyed like touching on computer stuff again and filming a video on it. It's like really refreshing, but based off like views, if I'm
Right.
trying to make a living of this, it's not gonna cut it. So the restriction of keyboards is definitely there, but I think it's more of I just have to commit to a slower transition out into the
Yeah.
different like categories, basically.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you definitely want to transition,
Yeah.
and you do feel a little bit restricted that you have to make only keyboard content.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. But do you feel that you're creatively restricted? Like you can't do something creative with your content because it's revolving around a keyboard.
Yes. Like, let's say a company contacts me to review a keyboard, and they just, I want to try something new. And after I try out something new, and I send them the video, they'll probably be like, "Oh, we actually really wanted your old style, the one where you just talk and review the camera, like review this thing in front of the camera." And then I'm like, "Oh, I really wanted to try this new style, like a more cinematic style, or sometimes a little more like story, a little
Right.
more funky." And they'll be like, "Oh, we really want that one." And then that just really takes away the fun of me creating videos
Yeah.
and how creative I can be in it. Yeah.
What would you suggest to improve the situation or make you more satisfied with the keyboard hobby?
Okay. The first one is definitely like you just have to get used to the comments. Like as a creator, you probably get 1,000 comments, and most of the time you want to build like a board. Like say a company sends you a board and you're building it and you plan to use it for yourself,
Right.
and you're just reviewing it at the same time. So you're building it according to your own personal preference. And what if my own personal preference happens to want PE foam,
Yes.
And your own personal preference is not PE foam. So I get shit on like 1,000 times a day for using PE foam,
Yeah.
and then it kind of like takes away the whole situation like
Right.
from me. So the first way for me to tackle it is just stick to my personality. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
stand my ground. I'm gonna use PE foam. I don't give a shit. I like the sound, so I'm gonna stick to it.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The second thing I think we can do to improve the situation is basically be more. I think we can be more open-minded into all the different things that people want to try out.
Right.
As we said that the keyboard hobby is basically at peak right now, so
Right.
I think we could be a little more open-minded, like some new layouts. We don't have to shit on it like instantly. Some people
Exactly.
might like it, and some people might not.
Right.
So just wait for your turn to come.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's basically the gatekeeping that we want to keep away because
Yeah.
it ruins the hobby. It definitely ruins the hobby. It causes burnout. Nothing good comes out of it. So we
Yes.
really need to get rid of gatekeeping. People gatekeep for no reason. Anything else you'd like to say? Just anything relating to the hobby or to you yourself.
Okay, I think this year is gonna be is either gonna be like the second blow up of keyboards or keyboards are gonna die down. In my opinion, since we have peaked, we either will reach even higher peak and then everyone will be like, "Oh my god, this is like custom keyboards, wow." You know how Glasses is like expanding custom keyboards to the public. We're either gonna grow super huge or we're just gonna die down because of the gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Like in this year. So this year is something we will wanna watch. I'm gonna curse, but wait, can you hear this beep?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else you want to say?
TikTok. You guys have like zero attention span nowadays. You can't make it through like 3 seconds into the video without double tapping. Our videos can be like 10 minutes long, and then you guys are gonna watch like 2 minutes of it, and
Oh
you
my
guys will
God.
complain about how the video is not interesting enough. Get off
Yeah.
TikTok, guys. Get off.
Exactly. My
Bring-
retention. Are you burnt out on keyboards or the hobby in general?
A little bit, certainly a little bit.
Yeah.
So I have used a lot of high-end keyboards and I've used a lot of budget keyboards, and I think like it's fun, and I love seeing all the innovation in the lower end, or innovation in the sense that we can get things cheaper that are typically higher, higher end specs. But overall, like I do have fun with making keyboards. I do have fun using them. I am a little burnt out on making content on them. I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, I do like making the content, but it's like, oh, it's the same. Another $100 keyboard, another $200 keyboard, or another high-end keyboard that no one cares about and no one's gonna watch because they're not as excited about it as I am.
Right.
So it's like, I don't really know who I'm making content for at times. It's just like, is it for me? Is it for the audience? Or is it just to get on the algorithm?
Makes sense.
So I am burnt out in that sense. And also just, I don't know. I've used a lot of keyboards. And while they do still get me excited, um, it's not very often that you see something totally new. It's
Right.
nice seeing the refinement like this. The F1 8X is very refined. It's
Oh,
a very good
beautiful
keyboard,
keyboard.
right?
Yeah.
And I love it. Oops. But I don't know. Past that, it's just like I don't really need much else, you know?
Do you still enjoy watching keyboard content?
Um the only keyboard content I watch is kind of like Glarses, my friends Tofu and Jayu and Avi, and that's kind of it. And even if I do watch that,
Yeah.
I have a lot of other interests way outside of keyboard and things that I'm way better at than keyboards. And then those things just draw my attention more because a lot of the content these days is what is stockiest or what is
Oh, yeah.
cheapest. And while those are interesting and while they are exciting to see that there's more accessible options or there's like a brand new high-end keyboard that has a lot of intentional design and really good like attention to detail, it's a little bit rinse and repeat. Whereas
Yeah.
you have someone like Glarses who does these crazy, magnificent projects that are expensive and fun, and he just looks like he's having a lot of fun and having a lot of fun with like a lot of people who aren't even in the hobby. Or Avi who manages to make a lesson out of
Oh,
every
yeah.
single video and has incredible presentation. Things like that I will watch. But outside of that, it's hard to find things that are genuinely interesting. And that's no knock to anybody.
Yeah.
I think it's just me, having been in the hobby for how long now? Since 2018-ish, 2017-ish.
Yeah.
So I've been here for a while, so
Yeah. So it's like keyboards or keyboard content gets dull over time, and you really need something strong for you to really watch the video, or something
Yeah.
very entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah, I need more than a spec dump. I need a look at design, a look at art, a look at intention, and not just gasket, high pitch, low pitch, which is what
Yeah.
a lot of them tend to be.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it's not what I want anymore.
Do you feel the market is oversaturated, bland, or that it has plateaued in some way?
I think switches are a little oversaturated. Everyone's doing long pull, nylon housing,
Yeah.
PC top, which is fine. I mean, there's not so much that you can do with switches at this point that I can think of, at least. I think the budget space is really exciting, although I do think it's coming to a close and it's just a race to the bottom at sometimes.
Yeah.
I think the high end can be weird. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot of people are just doing passion projects at the high end, which is
Yeah.
fine. But there's a lot of cash grabs, and it's
Yeah.
like really gross.
And you end up with like diminishing returns too.
Exactly. But I think another thing is like I think sometimes we look at the hobby as too much of a value proposition, and not as I'm just want to get something that speaks to me, something that is beautiful, and something that I really care about. I think people are too obsessed with how much can I get for as little money, which I think that obviously matters, right? It obviously matters to get something that you can afford and something that you feel like wasn't a waste of money. But I think to an extent, once you get to a certain point, people are way too worried about performance to price,
Yeah.
in the sense that they're trying to pack way too much and they want every single feature rather than thinking, okay, do I need every single feature or do I want something that was crafted with love by someone who really cares about what they made? It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's true. Like it's so obvious that somebody cared when they made this, and that really does matter to me.
Nobody really gets a keyboard because they like it anymore. They just get it for its features and because some reviewers told them, "Oh, this is the best one right now."
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that. Like I've done that before, and
Yeah,
I
me
do
too.
agree. Oh, we're so bad. There's obviously certain people do have to care about price and performance. It is a bit of a privileged position. I will admit that.
Yeah.
But for those who are in that privileged position, it's like, why are you looking for something that's all about price and performance rather than something that truly speaks to you? I mean, yeah, it's good that there are the GK61s, but again, it's not what everyone wants.
Right.
And also, just be happy with what you got, right? You got a GK61. Did you like it when you first got it? Chances are you still
Loved it.
kind of do. You're just saying everything else that came after that. So
Right.
it's like, don't feel like it's the law of diminishing returns that, that you bought that keyboard. You still love it. it doesn't change the fact that it was a good keyboard then. It's still a good keyboard now if you think it's a good keyboard.
This one is about your content, and do you feel creatively restricted with your video ideas or the need to move on to something other than keyboards?
Yeah, that's a big one. So I am doing a pivot right now, and I'm trying to figure that out. I want to move into anything other than just pure keyboards, whether it's
Yeah.
design or art or lifestyle. Because I am a videographer first and foremost before I am a keyboard person. That's actually the reason why I started the channel, was to do some practice during COVID. So I do think I need to move on beyond that, not for the sake of getting, I mean, yes, for the sake of getting views and a new audience and expanding beyond just this niche, but also for my own sanity and my own creative direction. Because don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily feel too like limited in what I do, but I feel like there is a template that I have to loosely follow. Like I do have to answer some questions, which is fair, right? Which is fair to the audience, but do I really want to do that for the rest of my channel's life?
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't really think so.
Yeah.
know?
Actually, I'm in the same exact boat. Like, there's so much I want to do, and then there's
Yeah.
so much that I just can't do because it's not gonna get views. People aren't gonna watch it, or just people aren't gonna like
Yeah.
it. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's that fear too of like, oh, am I gonna get views? And I'm
Exactly.
like, do I just say fuck it and I just put something out that I
Right.
don't care? And like, I've done that. I've done that, and it failed, and in the sense of getting views. But I was also like,
Yeah.
I'm happy that I put it out, right? So it is worth the pivot for your mental sanity, because it's not
Right.
like this is my main source of income, anyways.
My actual okay, this one I think I know the answer to, but do you still enjoy building keyboards?
Oh, absolutely. I do enjoy building keyboards, and there is a bit of fun when I'm filming it, but I have more fun when I'm not filming it. The only reason I have any fun when I'm filming it is because it fuels something creatively in me.
Right.
For example, the next intro to my next video is, I was very creative with it and it was fun, but I also felt like, man, I could have just built this keyboard without filming it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just enjoy the keyboard for what it was, and not think about, like how to get views or how to keep the audience engaged, which there's fun to that too, but just building a keyboard for myself, like when I built the F18X, that I was like the most fun I had building a keyboard in a while.
Right.
I didn't film that one at all.
Exactly. And I feel like that's actually kind of like the general consensus among like the keyboard content creators. Because when you don't have to worry about changing the angle, getting a good shot, lighting it up, even though
Right.
I love doing all these things, I kind of don't get to enjoy building my keyboard doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All the joy is in the edit and not in the moment, from what I've like noticed when I do that.
Yeah, exactly. What would you suggest to improve this situation or make you more satisfied with the keyboard hobby as a whole?
Man, I don't know if I can really solve this by saying this, but less cash grabs and more passion projects. Because I think a lot of high-end stuff is kind of cash grabby at this point.
Yeah.
A lot of people just pretending it's high-end. I mean, it is, but then they're charging this huge surplus value on top of it that not only is not particularly affordable, but it's clear that they're chasing the money instead of providing a project to the customer, which I know that kind of goes against what I said earlier,
Yeah.
but there is a level of of egregiousness that you cannot or should not like break when
Yeah.
you're doing this. Which is why I like QWERTY keys, right? Even though the keyboards are a little bit boring from a sound standpoint,
Yeah.
it is clear that they're trying to get their keyboards in the hands of the masses, and I can appreciate that. So the other thing, don't shit on other people, my friends. I see that way too much. Just don't.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Please.
Just don't do it, man.
Just
Yeah.
love what you love, and then let people love what they have. Like, it's
Exactly.
fine.
Like all the whole people hating foam in their keyboards.
Yeah. Like, I don't like
What?
foam in my keyboards.
Yeah.
But if you like foam in your keyboards, I don't give
It
a
doesn't
fuck.
matter. Yeah, exactly. I got comments where people are like, "Hey, why'd you put foam in there?" I liked it. I liked it. What do you expect me to say? Yeah.
Yeah. And I would kind of understand if it was like a really high-end keyboard. But what was the keyboard?
Just like this one. Like just this one. It was not really a high-end keyboard, just the Echo ACR Pro 75. Yeah. It needs
Foam
foam.
is meant to fix.
It
Yeah,
needs
like,
foam. Yeah.
It's fine. Why are
Exactly.
people mad, bro?
It's not
Oh
like
my
I'm just
God.
putting in PE foam and making it like marble sound. I know a lot of
Yeah.
people are bored of that, and that makes sense. But come on, if you want to use foam, you can use foam. And if you want to have flex cuts in your PCB, you can have flex cuts in your PCB. Alex
Yes,
Zotos,
sir.
and
I don't like flex cuts either. But yeah, no, I
Anzel.
agree. Like, oh god, no,
Yeah.
but I agree. Like, stop trashing things for the sake of trashing them and for the sake of it's not what you like.
Exactly.
Because guess
Yeah.
what? It's not your keyboard. It's mine. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah, right. Anything else you'd like to say, just pertaining to this interview, I guess, or hobby, or whatever you want to say?
Like and subscribe to Amiro. You just hit the bell notification to get notifications in your sub box for every upload, and we will see you there.
Like and subscribe. Oh wait, I can't go in. Okay, like and subscribe to Anzel ASAP. He makes incredible.
Oh, that's cool
content.
too.
I
We
love
can do
him.
that too.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you can do both. Yeah. Thank you, man. That's
No,
great.
thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Are you burnt out on keyboards or the hobby in general?
I think it kind of depends on which day you ask me, because really, depending on how I'm feeling, I'll have a different relationship with the hobby.
Yeah.
And since both of us are students and this is like our primary occupation right now, there's a lot of stuff we've seen, and this is like we're super occupied with the hobby. So once you see so many things, it's almost like um it's almost like you're numb to the hobby. Like nothing
Yeah.
really seems too interesting anymore.
Yeah.
But
I get
once in a
that.
while, you'll have a designer or you'll have a company that puts out something that's really interesting. And it's just like those moments that I really like to live for in this hobby. So kind of, and also not really.
Okay, so kind
Yeah.
of burnout and not really. And what about you, Peter?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I agree with what Kelvin's saying. It's more like once you've been in this hobby for like quite a while, everything just starts to more or less like blend in with how you feel.
Yeah.
And like every now and then there'll be something that like comes out that's really unique or very like exquisite, if I would say it like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And it just those like tiny little like things that come out, it kind of just like gives you that one spark of joy that you need to like continue on.
Yeah.
And like it's not like it's coming to a halt either. It's like every so often you see something new, you see something more unique, and because like it's always changing. This hobby's always changing.
Right.
So I wouldn't say that like we get burnt out as much. It's more just like Kelvin said, depending on when you ask and when you like are experiencing
Yeah.
whatever feeling you're experiencing, then you're gonna have to like answer that in that way.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. So it really depends on when I'm asking you this question, but like specific for right now, since we're seeing a lot of 65% in the market and just things like that, do you feel burnt out with the hobby itself, as in like making videos about it? Does it not fuel you like it used to before, or something like that?
Making content has never really been a easy thing. Like there's so
Right.
many things that go into it. And since I'm a very organized person, I've gotten this very particular workflow down that I kind of follow for every video. And so at this point, it's kind of like it's really hard to explain because it's kind of like work, but it's also not work in that I do get creative freedom in how I format my videos, and there's always inspiration I'm taking from other people, and I
Yeah.
get to incorporate that into my videos. So I wouldn't say I'm burnt out with the hobby in general.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and Peter, same to you, I assume.
Uh, I would say yes and no,
Yeah.
because I do feel like in a way things are getting more like repetitive and more just like I'm not seeing as many like different layouts as it used to be.
Right.
Because like in the beginning, whenever like we were starting out, there was like a bunch of like there was even like full size keyboards coming out, and like there's just constant like variety in things coming out.
Yeah.
And like nowadays, it's more just like you're saying, more 65%, more like 70. It's kind of a little bit becoming numb in a way, but it's still like every now and then, like I said, there's things that are coming out that are like more unique and more
Yeah.
different in a way.
Okay, yeah, I completely get that. And our next question actually does kind of relate to this, which is, Do you feel the market is oversaturated, bland, or that it has plateaued in some way, shape, or form? You know, just the keyboard market.
I think oversaturation, depending on who you ask, because it's actually kind of a preferential thing. It depends on
Right.
other people's perspectives into the hobby. So I would say it's always kind of been an issue because there's only so many ways you can really design a keyboard.
Right.
But I think the plateauing of the market is something that started more recently. And as a content creator, I think it's kind of hard to comment on oversaturation personally because,
Right.
like I said before, we've just seen so many things. It's hard to tell when it's just our perspective speaking or if, like, the hobby is actually becoming oversaturated
Yeah.
from an objective standpoint.
Yeah. Wow. That's actually a really good take on that. That it can be our perspective that changes it. Okay, that's nice. What about you, Peter?
Yeah, I would. He gave a better explanation that I could ever give. I do definitely feel like it's a little bit plateauing in a way,
Yeah.
but like you said, everyone has their own perspective about it. It's for me, it personally, it does feel a little bit like it's plateauing in a way.
Yeah.
And oversaturation isn't necessarily an issue because it
Right.
provides us with more choices. But
Exactly.
the issue is when designers start taking, too much inspiration from others.
Yeah.
And this is what we're seeing in the Switch market, where every Switch nowadays is kind of just a long pole,
Exactly.
and it's kind of stagnating innovation.
Do you still enjoy watching keyboard content?
So me personally, I don't consume that much keyboard media. I don't know if it's just my YouTube algorithm that doesn't like me, but I try to take inspiration from places that aren't keyboard YouTube to put into
Oh
my
yeah.
own content, because then I won't end up looking like everyone else, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Or I at least
Yep.
try not to. But as a content creator, I do really like to see other people's videos and understand their takes on certain boards and certain projects, and also to get a feel for their styles.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And Peter, do you watch any videos?
Yeah, like so, I don't watch. Like I used to watch more, like a couple years ago, but not really anymore as much.
Yeah.
Just like Kelvin was saying, we take more inspiration from other types of like videos. Like one big like inspiration that we both had on making videos was from JX Ace. He's a YouTuber that does like camera reviews and stuff like that. But his like video styles and stuff like that, and we take more inspiration off of other types of media as well.
Do you still enjoy building keyboards?
When I'm building keyboards for myself, yes.
Yeah.
But when I have to worry about filming for a video, it really takes the enjoyment
Yep.
out of it, because then I have to set up the camera and then worry
Right.
about, oh, does the shot composition look good?
I haven't built as many keyboards as Kelvin has.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I still like enjoy doing it no matter what. Like if I'm filming, yeah, I have to worry about like all that stuff too.
Right.
And it does get like a little bit stressful, but it's still fun in a way because you're still like having fun with like modding it or just like choosing what you want to put inside. It's still pretty fun for me.
Do you feel creatively restricted with your video ideas or the need to move on to something other than keyboards in the future?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel that with most projects, there's a variety of ways to be creative, and I'm
Right.
always striving to add a new twist onto every video, even if sometimes that just can't happen because of time constraints or other factors like that. And since this is something I'm really passionate about, I still try to think out of the box
Yeah.
and try new styles and just experiment with the overall look of videos. Like, I think if you go back and look at some of our videos from a year ago, they will differ at least a little bit from what we're doing now,
Yeah.
but we're just striving to constantly be evolving and changing and improving our style. And as for the need to move on to something other than keyboards, like I said before, since this is kind of our like full-time thing, the stagnation has been really hard on us in just growing the channel overall, and that if it continues to worsen, we might look into also creating content covering different
Yeah.
topics.
What would make you more satisfied with a keyboard hobby, or what would you suggest personally to improve this situation, I guess?
Realistically, it might sound a little pessimistic, but
Yeah.
I don't really think there's much we can do at this point. This is just the natural life cycle of a hobby. It's not meant
Right.
to be sustained at such a peak for so long.
Right,
And the reason
yeah.
we had the peak was pretty much entirely the Teha Types Tifu video,
Right.
which then spiraled off into TikTok, and then we had creators like Glarses coming in, and it overall just attracted a much more mainstream audience to keyboards.
Yep.
And as a result of that increase in customers, our designers were able to seek innovation and start investing into things like we now have TX stabs.
Yeah.
We had the
Right.
PE foam craze. We had tape mod. There was just an overall explosion in creativity and experimentation, and the hobby was at its golden age in
Right.
that period, pretty much.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like we've spoken about it before, it's kind of plateaued, and I don't really think there's that much we can do at this point to sort of imitate the explosion that we had during that period. Yeah, but what happened before was that we had a lot of innovation, we had a lot of just general excitement towards the state of the hobby and what it
Right.
could give us. And oversaturation nowadays is really not helping that. So what should be happening is designers should be looking into innovating more, but of course this takes a lot of resource.
Yeah.
So
Makes
right
sense.
now I just don't see that happening.
I'd have to actually agree and disagree with Kelvin for what he said.
Yeah.
I agree with like everything about before, where we had that giant boom
Right.
of like influence, and it kind of kickstarted everything in the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And like yeah, eventually things will plateau in every hobby, but there is like examples of other hobbies that haven't like necessarily plateaued yet.
Right.
Because like there's like custom computers. Those
Oh yeah.
that hobby has been here since like the
Beginning of
late
time.
yeah, it's been like since the computer was invented. So
Right.
it's like there is things that I don't think there's things that we personally can do.
Yeah.
I think there's things that companies and like these big manufacturers can do, even small manufacturers.
Yeah.
Like if there's like something that's really like that can take an influence on the community itself,
Yeah.
then I believe we can have something similar to that boom we had in during COVID, where people had like a huge influence on making keyboards and
Yeah.
just having fun with the hobby.
Anything else you'd like to say? Just anything pertaining to the hobby or just to yourself?
I think that like yes, this like community has started to like plateau, and yeah, there might be not a lot of things that we can do, but I still believe that this community has like a chance.
Yeah.
It's not like it's gonna fade away forever, or
Oh,
like people
definitely.
are not gonna like it.
Yeah.
So I think if there's a big enough influence again that happens, there's definitely a chance where it's gonna like rise back up, and people are gonna get like really excited about making like keyboards, and really excited about watching all these videos and watching
Yeah.
these new things being made. So
Okay.
Yeah, and it's still just crazy in retrospect how much more mainstream the hobby has become
Right.
compared to like 2 or 3 years ago. Like I'll
Right.
still run into custom keyboards like maybe just on my TikTok feed, which is completely not related to keyboards. I'll just be running into custom
Yeah.
keyboards in mainstream content sometimes.
mhm.
I think we should just be grateful for that.
Are you burnt out on keyboards or the hobby in general?
I'm definitely burnt out on the hobby and not the community. Like I absolutely love the community and most everyone in it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like so awkward saying most everyone, but I love the community and like everyone that I've met, and my Discord server and everything like that.
Yeah.
Here, let me word that so you can edit this better.
No issue.
Like while I definitely still love the community, I think the act of like building keyboards over and over again, and buying them and following the meta has kind of gotten a bit stale for me. So, and it's also kind of gotten exhausting, like building
Yeah.
keyboards over. So I would say I'm definitely
Burnt out.
burnt out.
Okay, so the next question is: do you still enjoy like watching keyboard content and just videos about keyboards?
I would say, so the question is, do I still watch keyboard content? for me, if I'm watching a keyboard video, it's got to be like really interesting, whether it's like the thumbnail or like title or the concept of the video itself. Definitely like it's got to be something really interesting. If it's just like an R2 of a keyboard that already exists, I'm probably not going to watch a whole video, or I'll just like skim through and kind of get the general consensus. Or if it's like a Glarsis video that's kind of like larger than life that hasn't been done before, then like that warrants a view for me. But I really don't keep up with all of the like reviews and Switch reviews, especially. There's so many Switches out there. It's like I can't even keep track of my own Switch collection. It's the burnout of keyboards plus the burnout of being a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that, in all honesty, like our niche is kind of either you could say at a standstill or it's on the low right now.
Yeah.
You could
like
say it's
down.
like a bear market for the keyboard.
Yes, exactly.
It's basically like even like the bigger content creators have been like struggling, and like I've seen like the statistics that they're sending, and we're you know, we all talk and stuff. And that just we're not getting that 1 out of 10 top video of the week. Like it's very, very hard to achieve right now as a keyboard YouTuber. It's just very hard to grow and get your videos promoted and motivate people to click on what you're doing. If it's not something larger than life, like Glars is building a life-size keyboard, like that obviously warrants a click and watching the entire story, because he's very good at storytelling. But when it comes to just like reviewing one of the hundreds of Switches that are going to come out this year, like how do you get people
to watch?
How do you get people invested without either kind of misrepresenting what the Switch really is by saying, "Oh, this is the best Switch I've ever used, and this beats out this," which we're all guilty of doing, you know, of like kind of hyping something up, which I like never like want to do. So that's kind of why I've stopped reviewing, because I don't want to be disingenuous with my content. Because the reality is, like, we've hit a plateau of, like, we've kind of hit a plateau of, like, keyboards sound and feel really good. Switches, for the most part, are all coming, like, factory lubed now. And they're super smooth. It's not really a battle of finding the smoothest Switch. Like, I feel like we've already found it.
Exactly.
I think tactile Switches still have a ways to go before we find a perfect tactile, but I feel like at least most Switches have found the sweet spot of sounding and feeling really good. Most people already have bought boards in that 2020 boom of our scene. Most people have already bought boards, multiple even. They're satisfied for the next few years until like some major innovations happen on the development side of keyboards. There are multiple like vendors and collaborators, people that want to like send me stuff, work with me, and I just I don't even want to accept, because I don't know if I'll have the motivation to deliver. And I always want to like deliver on promises, you know.
I get that.
It's been it's kind of sad, but I just know that taking a break, I'm definitely on. I would consider myself on hiatus right now.
Yeah, and that's healthy. I think that's what you should do. Like take a break. And you brought up a very interesting point where you said people already bought a bunch of their boards and aren't really looking for more.
3 boards on my desk right now.
Me
like,
too.
I don't need any more, you know?
Exactly. And that actually makes a lot of sense. So maybe the keyboard hobby isn't dying or slowing down. It's just slowing down momentarily until something new comes. And that
the
would
momentum
be
is the momentum is definitely slowed. And that's what happens every time you have a big boom, like in 2019, 2020.
The keyboard scene was skyrocketing.
You have the boom. But you do have you have way more people that know what custom mechanical keyboards are. Eventually, the pendulum swung one way, and it's gonna swing this way, and then it's gonna, you know, swung
going,
all the way
slowing
to
down.
super popular. Everyone's building a keyboard. Now everyone has their keyboards and it's kind of slowing.
Yeah.
But you still have all those people that are into keyboards now that you didn't have before. So now it's going to come back. Eventually it will come back and people will want to buy a new board with whatever the meta currently is in a year or 2 or 3. And yeah, the pendulum will swing back and forth. That's just kind of how it goes.
That's actually a
But
great metaphor. I'm putting that one in. That's great.
cool.
Yeah. Do you feel that the market is bland, oversaturated, or that it is plateaued in some way? And I feel like we kind of just talked about this.
I wouldn't say that the market is particularly bland. I would say it's bland in the fact that every single keyboard manufacturer and their mothers is making a 65%. I love 65%. Obviously, all 3 of the boards on my desk are 65%, but I think that we need more like Alice and Arisu options, smaller keyboards, and also like I love when you have a like the Windex's layout, for example, which is like a 65 plus numpad. I think having more options would be nice. And I get it, like 65 sell really well, but I don't know. If you want to have a boom, everyone can't all be selling the same keyboard, you know? Like if you want people to get interested in this again, the same keyboard with a slightly different backplate, or slightly different mounting style combination, like that's not going to get people excited. When every single board that comes out looks like the Bakaneko, I forgot my normal caps lock key, so all I have is my steps cap lock on here. Anyway, when every board looks like a Bakaneko, it's not really going to excite people, which is why the Vanguard is so cool, because it's got a slider, it's got a knob, and the design itself looks really cool.
Yeah.
Hashtag not sponsored. But I just
Not
think
sponsored.
that to me is one of the cooler boards coming out this year.
Yeah. So you don't think like the market has plateaued at all? Just it's just oversaturated. Like there's
I think
room
it's a combo.
to improve.
I think it's also plateaued a little bit because there hasn't been a new mounting style, like a really new, fresh idea for mounting style or aesthetic in a while, to me at least. No crazy new like layout ideas, or at least they're not making enough diversity in the layout department. And I also feel like in terms of like switches, we've kind of plateaued. I feel like there are so many options for top tier feel and sound, especially on the linear front. Though I do feel like tactiles still have a little bit of improvement to do. To me, I haven't found like the perfect tactile. The closest thing I have is my Azure Dragons. To me, is like perfect for me, for my taste. But even then, I wouldn't say that they're perfect. So I think it's more like we've hit our stride. Not we. Keyboard manufacturers, whether it's the kit or the parts, they've kind of hit like the maximum level of quality like for this era of boards until you have your next big shakeup. And I don't think the next big shakeup is going to be within the next year. I think it's going to be in 2 or 3 years when the companies realize that there are less and less people buying new stuff. If you don't shake it up now, people are just not they're gonna lose interest fully.
So the next question I have is, do you still enjoy building keyboards? Like just to yourself, do you like building a keyboard?
It's become tedious. I think you can only do it so many times.
Yeah.
Until you're like, all right, this is the same thing over and over again. But like for me, like I just recently swapped all 3 of my keyboards. I did a complete switch up of keycaps and switches, which meant taking apart almost, all of them and having stuff everywhere and having to re-put everything together.
Yeah.
And that to me, that was kind of exhausting. It took like over an hour to get everything taken apart and put back together. But I mean, yeah, to me it's just exhausting and tedious. Like you can only do it so many times on
Right.
very similar styled boards until you get kind of tired of it. I will say I did come up with some new combinations that are really fun. And to be honest, I have a lot of fun with my own switches.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to plug, but using them on different boards has been really fun. And
Yeah.
also, I have 3 very different sets of sounding keycaps too.
Yeah.
I have some thick, chunky PBT from 21 KB. I have a ABS set of GMK. And I have the Novel Keys PBT, which has a really
Oh, yeah.
clacky sound I've found.
Yeah, I noticed with those sets, it's always like on the clack side of things.
For some reason, the Novel Keys Cherry just makes my board sound really clacky. So I have like a very broad range of sounds I can get out of all the boards that I have, which is
Cool.
nice. I even made, literally these keycaps made my Bakaneko sound thocky.
Cool.
That is
so,
kind of crazy.
so you're not burnt out on the sound, you're just kind of burnt out on the experience of building it because you've done it a little too many times.
Yeah, I'll never get tired of the keyboard itself. I mean, that's always going to be super satisfying. I don't think never in a million years would I go back to a normal keyboard.
Makes sense.
Like,
yeah.
I had to travel a bit, and I had to work. I'm work from home, so I can, as long as I got Wi-Fi and a computer, I can work. And I had to travel, and I was using my MacBook keyboard, which a MacBook Pro keyboard, and I have a 2015. That's like the goated era of MacBook Pro keyboards.
Yeah.
Before the stupid butterfly switch crap that they tried
Yeah.
to do, and it didn't work. That's like considered one of the best laptop keyboards ever made.
And you
I
still
was
didn't
like,
enjoy
this
it.
sucks.
Yeah.
This sucks. And I was home where I had some keyboards in storage. I literally took out a mechanical keyboard that I, had from making a video on the channel and literally hooked it up to my laptop where there was already a keyboard on the laptop and then hooked up my own external mechanical keyboard. Like that will never ever get old to me. I also really love showing people how awesome it is. Whenever people come over to my place and they see all these like crazy looking keyboards and they're like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
I get to show them and they get to feel it all. And I think the reaction of people experiencing it for the first time kind of brings joy back and makes me excited about it again, if
Yeah.
only for a brief moment. But it is worth mentioning that sharing the hobby with other people is always going to be fun,
Yeah. That's okay. So the next question is, do you feel creatively restricted with your video ideas or the need to move on to something other than keyboards once you return to making content?
I think it'd be really dope to make those like ultra budget videos that the bigger content creators have the budget for. Like building a really cool, fully custom keyboard for their favorite content creator, or, like Glarsis building
Right.
this massive keyboard and everything. Like more power to them that they figured out a way to afford to make those videos.
Yeah.
I do not have the budget to like do that sort of stuff, so like that's
Yeah.
always going to be lost on me as a smaller channel, and that's fine. Like I can still make like videos that are fun and interesting without having to spend my paycheck on them. But
Yeah.
I do want to say, like, also like in terms of like the burnout stuff of being a keyboard YouTuber, like a lot of the stuff that you see people review isn't always being sent for free. Like
Right.
sometimes it's stuff that we personally paid for, Switch sets that we personally paid for that we want to talk about. Creative restriction is a lot of the times caused by budget.
Yeah.
So I do want people to consider that. Like a lot of the stuff on my channel is stuff that I paid my own money for.
Yeah.
And some of it I'm super lucky to have been sent for free. But then you're obligated to make a video about it. So it's not really free because you're
You work with your
spending
time. Yeah.
Yeah, you're spending your time. Obviously, time is money. You're spending your time and effort. I mean, making a video that can take up to a week to edit and produce. At least my pipeline takes pretty long because I put a lot of effort into effects and
Yeah.
script writing and filming and all that stuff, editing. So you do pay for it in a way.
Exactly. Right. With your time and with your life, basically, you end up paying
Yeah,
for it.
and it was getting really tiring. I mean, I don't know. There was a point when I was putting out a video a week. I don't know how the hell I did that.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
looking
crazy. I
back.
can't. I do like one a month and then I'm done. It's too much for me.
I can't even do one a month anymore.
Yeah.
I'm on hiatus. Say that much.
That's I think you need the break. Just take your time,
Yeah.
and when you return, it's like I feel like most of your subscribers subscribe to you for your personality, and that's something
That's
else.
what I really
stated.
hope. And that's like one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give anybody, because there are so many like review channels or like, tech videos on YouTube where the person isn't memorable at all and like they don't really input
Right.
their personality into it. You go and you get the information you need about like a certain product, and then
And
you
then you
dip and you
leave.
don't come back.
Right.
And you don't even remember that channel or that person even exists, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like gone, poof from your mind.
Exactly.
But my biggest advice for anyone that wants to do a YouTube channel is like, if you have a good personality, that will take you far. Or a memorable or an exciting, like entertaining personality. Obviously, there's a lot of shit people who get popular on
Yeah,
YouTube.
exactly.
Let's be real. But if you have like an entertaining, captivating personality, that will take you further than production value,
Right.
whatever.
It will. 'Cause-
Personality and story on YouTube. That's like the two biggest
Exactly.
things.
Yeah.
For my last few videos, like I was really like trying to hype myself up to get excited about a lot of the, just the video making process and everything. And it was really like, it really was difficult. Just like that last push of getting the
Yeah.
editing finished and uploading a lot of my last few videos, not because I didn't believe in the things I was saying, like 100% everything that like I'm saying in my videos is 100% true to what I really believe and feel in that moment. Obviously, the keyboard meta changes. Like, I had some people saying that my novelty creams video, where it's an over a year old now, and one of my first videos ever, but
Yeah.
I give a bunch of alternatives to other switches, and I had someone comment and be like, those alternatives are kind of out of the blue. I've never even heard of those switches before. And I had to
Yeah.
reply and just be like, hey, look, the meta fully has changed in 1 year. Like, I don't think I'd recommend all of those switches today, but some of them are still relevant. Like, I think I
Yeah.
put like Gateron yellows in there and black inks and, like as alternatives to creams. And
Yeah.
the meta changes 24/7. It's
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
one of my biggest advices if you're building a keyboard and getting into the scene for the first time is to like sort the videos by new. Like make sure you are watching
Yeah.
videos within the last 4 months of whatever, a Switch review, a
Yeah.
keyboard kit review. Keep
Yeah.
it
And that's very
current.
weird. It feels very weird for someone who's been in the hobby for a while. Because, like, to me, you ask me, what's your favorite Switch? I'll go back and I'll tell you the Telios V2 is my favorite Switch. Because back then, that thing was amazing. That was the best, the smoothest linear. And still
Now
is.
there's at
but-
least
yeah.
there's at least 50 linears that are like on the
Exactly.
smoothness.
And exactly the same linear. Same
Amount.
sound, same everything. And it's just...
Yep.
I'll always say the Telios V2, even though it's because I don't really keep up with the meta.
Yeah.
I kind of just do what I want. Because, my videos are kind of more on the entertaining side rather than the review side. So I'll never...
Yeah, that's
I'll never
good.
build
That's
the
what it
meta.
should be.
Yeah, that's what
Because you don't
kinda-
want to. I never wanted to be like a free advertisement for everybody.
Yeah, makes sense.
I see so many content creators in general that just like will shill Amazon products. Like, oh my God, this is the worst thing about TikTok is like,
Ugh.
here's 10 Amazon finds that like, I don't give a, here's my philosophy, and I can't speak for every keyboard YouTuber, but I have a day job. Like, this
Yeah.
isn't my main moneymaker. In fact, it's made me barely any money to even
Yeah.
account for the amount of money I've put into the channel in like buying keyboards and editing and time.
Yeah.
That's not even a fraction of what I put in.
It's not
and-
super worth it. Worth it at the end of the day, other than it fuels you creatively.
Exactly. And it was a good creative outlet for me for a while, but then it kind of turned into a job, which is
Yeah.
like the biggest advice I can give to anyone that like wants to
Avoid
take something
burnout.
that's creative is like don't
Don't
have
make it
things
into
that are your hobbies. You can have creative hobbies and you can have creative career. But like don't if you love something, don't turn it into the career because the second you start making money off of anything creative, you start to hate it. And that is the worst thing ever. I see this happen. This happened to me with music when I was younger too, because I, would play and learn instruments for myself and have fun, obviously.
Yeah.
And then when I was, when I got really good at it, you get recruited for bands. You start playing in bands. You start making money, and it's like an obligation now
Yeah.
and a job. And
Suddenly
no one likes
you
their
don't like it.
job.
Because
No
you
one
don't get
likes
the
their
freedom.
job.
Yeah.
No one wants to work the rest of their lives.
Right.
Designate in your life what is a hobby, what is fun, and what is your moneymaker. And
Yeah.
I think that is how you keep a healthy separation of the things that you do for yourself. But
Yeah.
that's just life advice. This has
That's
gone far
great
beyond
advice.
keyboards, but
What would you suggest to improve the situation or make you more satisfied with the keyboard hobby as a whole?
I mean, I have my own personal critiques about a lot of people in the community. But I mean, I don't really surround myself with people who are too negative, and when I get negativity in my comment section, I usually roast back because
Yeah.
I'm hot-headed and that's just what I do. It's nothing personal. I just think it's really fun.
Yeah.
I haven't really like experienced anyone that's like too mean and difficult. I've definitely banned some people from my server,
Yeah.
but that's just Discord,
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. What would I suggest to improve the situation? The situation
Just
of
the
burnout.
burnout, hobby, or anything to do with the hobby, really.
I guess the situation of burnout. For me, if something's burning you out and causing emotional distress, like the number one thing you can do is take a break. Because, and this is what happens in my job. I work in a creative field. Anytime you say that, like, I'm getting burnout or something, they'll say, hey, take some time off, like, or we'll put you on a lighter project, stuff like that. And like,
That's great.
either like scale back your videos so that they aren't as taxing to make, or scale back your keyboard. Like, let's say you do commission builds, like scale back the amount of clients you're taking on or whatever.
Yeah.
Take a break. Don't build a keyboard for a few months. Come back, see how you feel.
Yeah.
Don't make a YouTube video for a few months. Come back, see how you feel. Because at the end of the day, your mental health's really important. And I realized that like powering through making videos wasn't gonna make me like it. It was just gonna make me hate it.
Exactly.
It was gonna do the opposite. And I guess more satisfied with the keyboard hobby. If you love keyboards and building, but you feel like a stagnation, I would like check out look at your collection or whatever boards you have and maybe consider getting something that's like so radically different than what you're used to, whether it's like aesthetic wise, colors, layout, get something really weird and see how you feel. And if you don't like it, you can sell it. That would probably,
That's great advice.
Be weird. Get
Yeah.
weird. Especially this was one of my most exciting keyboard builds.
Yeah, the Libra.
The Libra, because it's fucking weird. And this is like one of my favorite little boards that I have. Do I use it all the time? No, I mainly have it for, honestly, I
off.
practice touch typing on it a lot.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I mainly have it for display because it's cool.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, it's something, if you still want to keep building keyboards, like get something different than you normally get.
So, what would improve the your burnout, like yours specifically, in the hobby?
Personally, oh my God, I hate saying this because I haven't made any official plans, but I think personally, I will be still loving mechanical keyboards and using them and referencing them if I do decide to make more videos. But I think if I am to continue YouTube, that my answer would be pivoting my channel to other stuff.
Yeah.
And like I feel bad because I know a lot of people subbed for keyboard
Keyboards,
content, but I also know a lot of people subbed because they just like me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but they like me. But you know, I'm really passionate, very opinionated person.
That draws
I have,
people.
It does. It does.
Mm-hmm.
I have like not only good stage presence, but like production and all that stuff. And I think that I could easily pivot to being one of those types of channels that kind of talks about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was always thinking like Nakey Jakey or like Internet Pit Stop,
Yeah.
Answer in Progress, like those types of channels that can have a topic of anything, but people come back because they
Like the personality or the
they like
people.
the actual personality, you know, the people behind the channel. It doesn't matter what the topic is. And I think if I could do that and talk about the stuff I'm really passionate about or whatever the hell my hyperfixation is at that given moment. Like keyboards were my hyperfixation for the last year, but I'm kind of moving on to the next thing. And I've always loved like gaming and music and nostalgia and art and design and media, television shows, animation, like that stuff I will always love, but it comes in waves, and I just want to make whatever is currently inspiring me, I want to talk about it, share it with the world. If I have the energy to still do that, if I still decide that YouTube's for me and like making stuff on YouTube is for me still, and I have the time to do it. Again, I work a full-time job, like sometimes things get busy, life gets in the way, but you know, if I do feel that I have the time and motivation to do it, that's probably what you could expect from me, is a pivot into stuff I'm really currently passionate about in the moment.
Cool.
Because if you don't care about the keyboards, if you don't really give a shit about what you're talking about, like that's gonna come through. Like people are gonna tell.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And I felt it. I've scrapped videos because I didn't really care about the product.
Me too. I could tell you all the videos I have. I have close, but have never finished.
Yeah, me too. It's just like I sat in front of the camera, filmed the same video twice, and just didn't like it. So I just scrapped it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to say? Literally anything.
Anything else I'd like to say? I guess like I don't think I'm like fully parting with the hobby or anything like that, or like fully completely parting with the people that I've met doing this. So I don't want anyone to think I'm just like dipping out.
Yeah.
I'm obviously still active on my server, but what I do want to say is that like the community that like I was able to build with just like, you know, people that subscribed to my channel and joined our Discord and everything, plus also all the communities and people that I've met in other people's Discords, you know, in the subreddits and like all this stuff. Like I would say 99.8% of everyone that I've met has been just so nice and helpful, and like 100,000%, I went into this hobby knowing nothing and was able to learn so much about such a niche hobby because people in it were cool. And I think as long as people in it, the majority of our hobby stays cool people that just want to show each other and experience and have fun building these keyboards, I think it will always be a thing and it will always survive.
I fully
think
agree with that.
if it turns into something incredibly toxic and stupid, you will not grow. It will not grow. It will not be inviting to people. And that was like the 100% the thing about my channel that I wanted to keep true, was like making videos that even people with no experience could watch a video of mine and like start to pick up on the jargon, and I try to explain as much as I can without sounding like an asshole, you know? Like, you know, no one likes a jerk. One of my best performing videos is a short where I say, why would I know what the thockiest switch is? I don't even know what kind of keyboard you have or what board you're gonna put it in with what keycaps. Like, I don't have the answers, you know?
Okay, cool.
There is no best keyboard. There's never going to be a best keyboard. There's never going to be a best
Get over
switch.
it. Get over it. Get over it.
Yeah, get over it.
There will
It's
never
not.
be a best. Yeah.
There will never be. And that's that. You have your favorite, but there will never be a best.
Right.
That is just, you know, The issue with this community is when people confused objective opinions with subjective opinions with objective facts. There's only so many people in the world that like this specific thing. And if we all fought with each other, that would not be fun.
Right.
You know? Like, we should celebrate the fact that enough of us have gotten into this really kind of silly hobby and that we all love it to death and care enough to fight with each other. Like, that's the stupidest part to me. It's like people arguing, like, I have people in my comment section being like, but have you tried this switch? But have you tried this switch? I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. Like, I don't give a fuck what switch you have or have tried or what you think is the best.
Yeah.
Like, because it's about what you like, you know?
Right.
And you don't have to take my word as the gospel or anyone on YouTube's word as the gospel.
Facts.
And you also, I'm going to spill some tea. Look at who's getting commission off of what they're making videos about. Same thing with the Amazon links. Like, you know,
Some
try to
of
get
us
a broad
don't know what we're
opinion.
talking about. So
Oh my God. There are people on YouTube
they have no clue
and in this
what
hobby
they're
that
talking about.
do not know what they're talking about, and
True.
they have very popular videos.
Yeah.
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not gonna name names and flame anybody.
But it's whatever. Yeah.
You know, but to me, it's just, you know, I'm glad that a bunch of us got together to celebrate how much we love this like goofy hobby. And I've gotten enough goofs and gaffs out of it to where I'm like, all right, I can slow it down and take a break and move on to new things. While still enjoying the keyboards that I have, you know?
Cool.
And I just hope that if anyone's, I guess another thing I have to say is if anyone's feeling burnt out, definitely talk to somebody. You can be burnt out on anything. It doesn't have to be keyboards.
Right.
Whether it's your job, school.
Life,
If
anything.
you fully fizzle out, the worst thing you can do is fully fizzle out. Like, keep full steam ahead until you absolutely fizzle out. That will take months to years to recover from.
Cool. So my first question is, are you burnt out on keyboards or the hobby in general, like as a whole?
Oh shit, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Like I told you before, like I'm not I was feeling burnt out towards the end of last year, and that was because of YouTube as a mindset, not so much keyboards.
Yeah.
And like I guess if you spend enough time around something, and okay, I need to say this because like I need to preface this with as someone who does YouTube like more frequently, you're in a fortunate position because you just get stuff, right? Like you get sent keyboards. Like and this is not like a flex, but it's like I've only ever bought 2 keyboards in my life.
Oh, that's
like it's like I bought my Tofu and I bought my Rama U80, and then after that everything has just been sent to me. So it's like I've got like a very warped perception on like what keyboards are because I'm like, oh, it's the same, you know, it's the same. It's a metal rectangle with some buttons. Like, how can you make a video about it? But you forget that core element that people have to sort of work up to it and then buy it, and then you feel proud of it because you're like, oh, dude, you know. So if you're like surrounded by these all the time, well, I can only speak on my behalf, but like for me, because I was surrounded by the keyboards all the time, I was starting to get like, how do I find a point of difference? You know what I mean? And that was burning me out.
Okay.
Because I was like, you know, I was just sort of like, it's the same shit again and again and again. But like, you have to remember that to other people it's fresh. I don't know. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, you're basically saying that because you just had access to all of these keyboards, you didn't really see all of the differences between them, and that burnt you out slowly but surely because you still had to make content on it, but it's a rectangle with buttons at the end of the day. Yeah. Do you still enjoy watching keyboard content online?
Ooh, that's a heavy one.
Yeah.
Not really. Like, there's not many people that I watch that I'm like, shit, that's fresh. You know, like I want to watch that. Because all right, you can decide whether to put this in the video or not, because this is probably a very hot controversial take.
We love those here.
I think I think I'm like, as blatantly honest as I can be, I think keyboard videos are pretty low lift compared to any other niche in YouTube, right? Like you look at the tech niche, for example,
Yeah.
the quality is like up here.
Right.
It's like the biggest creators are like really pumped, like cinema cameras, like pacing is immaculate, views are in the millions, like it's insane.
Yeah.
And there's heaps of competition.
Right.
And this is like a blessing in disguise, probably, because the keyboard hobby is like, it's still new and it's in like a growth phase right now. It's like, it's gone from niche to like, we're trying to make it a bit more mainstream.
Yeah.
But because of that, people have sort of like set themselves a recipe to follow, I think.
Yeah. I get that.
So it's like everyone's trying to sort of follow the MKBHD recipe, for example, where it's like, oh, I've had this keyboard for 3 months or 3 weeks or whatever. Here's my thoughts. And it's like, how do you do that? Because you can't live with a keyboard, really. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you're reviewing keyboards, you have to rotate through them like every 3 days or every week. So, wow, I am just rambling right now.
No, this is perfect. Keep going. It's
okay,
fine.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So yeah, because everyone's sort of like set their own like expectation of what the content should be. It's almost like, oh, I'll put out a sound test and then expect it to get views. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you get heaps of videos that are just like some obscure keyboard with Cherry MX Blacks,
Right.
and then sound test, and like you watch a sound test for like 2 seconds, and you're like, all right, you know, you're not gonna watch 40 seconds of a sound test.
It's like filler.
You might skip to the mods.
Right.
Yeah, you might skip to like the mods and then be like, okay, cool, sounds good. All right, done. So it's like, I don't think there's many people that are sort of pushing the envelope of like meaningful content that makes you want to stick around for keyboards. And it's hard to do that in like a genuine sense as well, right? Because you don't want to drum up a dumb story when it's not real. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you of all people are doing that the best. Like you and Glasses are really good at like making. Oh, it's true. Like you guys are really good at making, like spectacle out of a keyboard. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah,
You've got all these ideas that I'm like, I don't know how you do it, but because I'm too practical, I'm just like, you know, yeah, because I come from like the design space. I keep saying that, and I hope I don't sound like a wanker by saying
No,
that.
you don't. You don't. It sounds.
Okay, good.
Makes sense.
Okay. And because I come from there, I'm like, oh well, my goal is to like push keyboards to those people, you know, to like architects and stuff who are like, I want something nice to sit on my desk. It's not about reviewing the specs, it's about like understanding the vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
I get that. I get that completely.
Yeah, and also sort of like showing how the keyboard is made and like the people behind it. Because there's like, sorry, I'm just going on right now. But the big thing I've realized is like, people are expecting keyboards to, how do you call it? Very very much like consumerize like every single other, become consumerist like every single other thing, right?
Right.
And then you've got the gatekeepers who are like, no, keyboards need to be niche.
Right.
And then you've got the people on the complete other end of the spectrum who are like, make it for everyone. And then they like sacrifice everything because they just want to make money.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like I always say this, but like in the design world, the biggest thing that everyone talks about is reusability, modularity. And like the keyboard hobby is literally that. Like you cannot throw away a 2 kilogram block of metal.
Exactly.
You have to sell it, you know?
Right.
And like there's this like online scene that is just bursting, that is like selling stuff, reusing stuff, like all this. So it's like the designer's dream, ultimately.
Exactly.
And I'm like, and the people who are selling the keyboards aren't gamers, but they're designers. So it's like, how how is it not like being passed down to like other people who are also interested in tinkering, right? Like you look at Matthew Encina, who's like
Right.
the guy. He's like the guy who makes stuff DIY, and he's like sort of embodies like every creative. And
Right.
it's like, how are there not more people like him who are just like, you know what, I'm gonna try this keyboard thing. So it's like this weird balance where it needs to be more accessible, but at the same time, I think people need to be more empathetic towards people who can't run a group by, because it's usually run by like one dude.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Yeah. That's actually really good, and that leads us pretty well into our next question, actually, which is, do you feel that the market is bland, oversaturated, or has plateaued in some way?
I don't know, to be honest, because I feel like keyboards are pretty cyclical. Like it goes around like this. Like I joined when the PE foam mode was like everything.
Yeah.
So like I've only been in the hobby for like a year. And then now everything is MX Blacks on alu plate, top mount, you know.
Yeah.
Which is sick. Like I like it. I think it sounds great, but you never know. You know, something's always going to come along. I don't think it's. I think there's a lot of challenges, but I don't think it's stagnated. I think we just need to start. We're at the point now where it's like a critical juncture point where it's like, you can't just like make something from PCB way.
Right.
And then just like sell like 3,000 units of it. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know, it can't just be a rectangle that's top mount and then just like engrave something on the bottom.
It has to be special.
Unless you're just doing it with, unless you're doing it with friends and you're doing like a small 10 run or whatever.
Yeah.
But, and there's nothing wrong with it. I need to say, like, you know, if you like that shit, then go for it. I'm not going to stop anyone.
Yeah.
But like, if you want to like impress, you have to have a point of difference.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. But do you think that maybe the market currently is not like that? It's not super impressive. We have a lot of 65%, for example. You rarely see like a new layout or like a 75% layout or something like that. So in that sense, has it plateaued?
Well, in that sense, I think it's natural that it will plateau. You know what I mean? Like it's inevitable because we have strict guidelines of like 75% looks like this, TKL looks like this, 65 looks like this. You know what I mean? So there isn't much room to move around, and this is where my brain of like, oh, I'm just like, because I have a lot of keyboards. I'm like, you know, it's all the same. Yeah. Because I guess at some point it is. Like at some point it's like you just sort of, how do I say this? Like oh my god, there's a plane. Sorry.
No
Can you
problem.
hear it?
No, actually.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so at some point like it will get the same. And yeah, you're probably right. It is stale. Like in the sense that directly answering that, it's stale. Yeah. But like you can work within that, you know what I mean? And that's the challenge. And that's like fun.
Yeah, so
And
it's
I
like
think
a
people are
creative
doing that
challenge.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you look at, have you seen the new Mode keyboard?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've looked around.
Like, yeah, like they're trying different kind of mounting style with it, and they're using a different material to create bounciness and all this. Like it's interesting.
Yeah,
you know?
it is.
It's
so
like,
you think it's a little bland, or it has a little plateaued, but you see that there's a lot more challenges that we can overcome throughout that we can build inside of a limited space of creativity.
Yeah, essentially. But there is an element where we should probably just start to appreciate the smaller things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the nuances, and like not so much look to who's making groundbreaking changes, but it's like like you wouldn't say this about porcelain, for example.
Right.
You know, let's say you like handmade. You know, like you like handmade cups or whatever. Like you're not gonna be like, who's making the craziest cup?
The 65% cup.
Yeah, right. You're gonna be like, oh, you know, I just like this because I like the you know,
The
like
design
people
of
are trying
it,
to
yeah.
perfect it, and there's nothing wrong with that with keyboards.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's actually a very good take. One of the best I've had today. Thank you.
Thank you, mate.
Do you still enjoy building keyboards? Just building them, like to yourself?
I don't think I have, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
I've
me
actually. I
neither.
don't think I've actually built. Yeah, right. I don't think I've actually built a keyboard just cause.
Yeah.
Because it's like everything is content. So it's like
Right.
I need to. I'm more focused on the camera angles than I am the keyboard.
That's
right?
exactly what I'm saying.
And it gets tiring because
Yeah.
you're like, well, I don't know for me because I'm really lazy. So I'm like, oh my god, I got to do this again. But it's like,
Yeah.
this is like someone's dream. Like I just get to build keyboards and enjoy it, you know.
Yeah,
So-
but it's like it doesn't matter if it's someone's dream. If it's not, if like it's not for you, then it's not for you. It's whatever you choose to do. If you like it, power to you. If you don't like it,
yeah,
try something else. Yeah,
that's it. That's
I
it.
like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you feel creatively restricted with your video ideas, or the need to move on to something other than keyboards in the future?
So do I feel creatively restricted or do I need to move on to something else? That's tricky.
Yeah.
We talked about this before, like last year. And last year I was very much like, oh yeah, I need to move on to something
Yeah.
else. But now I'm sort of like, I'm like, okay, this is a very privileged thing to be able to say. And we talked about this just before, but like, having a break is the most underrated thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm just gonna go on a tangent real quick.
No
but
problem.
like, when you when you are sort of living your dream, like, because like I studied and me and my best mate were like, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's just try something, and now it's our lives.
Right.
You sort of have this like imposter syndrome almost, where you're like, I must be enjoying this. Like I have like other people are like slaving away in an office, and I get to sit at home and make cool shit for a living.
Yeah.
I have to be enjoying it. Life is a holiday because I can chat to you, and I've got no consequence, and I can go, get a coffee and have some food, and there's no consequence.
Yeah.
But because of that, you're like, I have to be enjoying myself all the time. So what's the point of a holiday? Because life is a holiday.
Right.
Like it's kind of just what happens in my brain. But then, like going on a break for 3 weeks and like actually just like, because you're geographically away from all your tech, you're away from your keyboards, you're like, you can't touch it. It's like the most underrated thing ever, because like now I've come back and I'm like, no, like it's like I've got a different mindset. I'm like, I don't need to keep pushing for like the highest views to whatever, It's like I need to just respect my audience. I need to respect the people who have put their faith in me and like make stuff for them.
Yeah.
Because I think my audience is like a reflection of me, right?
Yeah. That's a really,
so-
really healthy mindset. That's something you should
Thank
upkeep
you.
at all times. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Because I think
great.
as thank you. Because I think as content creators we get very like wrapped up in we need to. We were saying this before, like we need to get like huge numbers. We need to get
Right.
because it's like it is your metric of success, and YouTube doesn't do it like it. Plain and simple, it's like this video's a 10 out of 10. You're like 10 out of 10 means shitters.
Yeah,
You're like,
no.
Of course I'm
God
bad.
damn it,
like, I'll
again?
just try again.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, why is it not a 1 out of 10? Why is it not?
What would you suggest to improve this situation or make you more satisfied with the keyboard hobby as a whole?
I don't really know, to be honest. I think what would make me more satisfied with like what would improve the situation for me? I don't think there's much of a situation for
Yeah.
me right now. Like I think it would be wrong for me to put that on other people. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like it'd be like I think the best way to improve a situation is by sort of turning inwards. I don't know, it sounds a bit cringe, but like if you sort of look inside and you're like, why do I feel like this?
Yeah.
And then because it's within your power ultimately, especially as a content creator, like it's easy to point fingers and be like, this is why I feel like this, or this is why it's stagnating. But like
Right.
the beauty of being a content creator is you get to make your own narrative, right? Like you get to sort of shape the narrative, and that could be like a good thing or a bad thing, shape it for the people who watch your videos, and like maybe breathe a new light into it. So if I point my fingers and go like, well, this is the reason why I'm feeling like this, then I'm just going to be doing what everyone else is doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel
So
it.
if I turn the attention inwards and go like, why do I feel like I'm stagnating? Why do I feel like my content is stagnating? Is there anything I can do about it? Then I'm forced to make amends on my end.
Right.
And then that means that I don't have, then my content's fresh. It'll always be fresh because then I'm looking elsewhere. I'm looking at, maybe a documentary filmmaking, or I'm looking at Vox, or I'm looking at whatever.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Did that answer?
Yeah, that answered. But if I asked you, how do you improve the blandness or stagnation in the market, right? The keyboard market itself. Like if you had to suggest one idea.
Bring new people in.
New people, like new designers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring more creatives in, more people who just increase the pool of people. I think.
Yeah.
That's a very off the top of my head answer, but it's like if there are more people designing and they've got fresh eyes, then
they'll see it differently.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't know if you see his Instagram is Max Voltar, MVKB.
I might have, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a keycap designer and keyboard designer, and the stuff he does is insane. There's like a lot of studios that are really pushing the boundaries. Like I don't even know, Protozoa Studio.
Oh yeah.
Like those guys, and even like Norbauer and Mode, and there's a lot of people who are like trying to push the envelope a little bit, and there just needs to be more people like that. And there's like this guy that I've recently met who are like similar. His name's like Timothy, and he goes by like Akuko Labs. I don't know how to pronounce it. I hope I didn't butcher that.
Yeah, don't think.
But he's new.
Yeah.
And he's like a graphic designer, I think, by trade.
Yeah.
And it's like his way of seeing keyboards is completely different.
That's so cool.
The appreciation for detail and all this stuff. I think it's just about increasing like the amount of creatives in the space.
Yeah.
Because if we just if we just look within, you're never going to expand.
So we have to look outside in order to expand. Anything else you'd like to say?
Well, first one, obviously, like I don't know why I'm really weirdly like pushing this, but like take breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone always wants, like, it's so easy to say take breaks. I see that online. Like, you watch videos like this, and you're like, oh yeah, there it is, take breaks, But like,
it helps.
I almost think that you should like budget in for time.
Yeah.
Like, I need to take a break at the end of every year, and like really take a break, because like, dude, it's insane. Like if we did this interview 1 month ago, my answers would be completely different.
Yeah.
I'd be like much more negative. Be like,
yeah.
Are
you burnt out on keyboards or the hobby at all?
No. That's mainly because this is like something I do for fun. So I think maybe it's just like when a video doesn't do as well as you want it to, maybe that's a little bit like a little sad. But in terms of getting burnt out of keyboards, there's always new things, so it's always very fun to see. So when it comes to burning out of keyboard content and stuff like that, no.
Okay, cool. That's actually really nice to hear, because I feel like the general consensus right now in the keyboard content scene is that a lot of people are just burnt out and they're like a little bored of the whole scene. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that might be the case, but my videos aren't like, my videos are mainly just like review videos,
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm going out of my way. I think I'd probably get burnt out if I did those crazy extravagant videos, but since mine are more laid back, I feel like I can enjoy it more. That's just my style. I mean, everybody enjoys different things, but that's just what I enjoy. So that's what I do, because YouTube is meant for me to have fun and make content that I like and enjoy. And if I stop doing that, then I'd get burnt out. So I just do what I enjoy.
Do you still enjoy watching keyboard content?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't watch a lot of videos, but when I'm really interested, like in the new, I think it's called the Envoy keyboard from Mode, and like the new Zoom 65 version 2. And if I'm really interested in it and I want to see what other people think, if like maybe I'll buy it in the future off of Mac Market or something, yeah, I do. I don't just not watch keyboard content.
Oh, that's pretty
And plus,
cool.
like Glars's videos and Hipio's
Oh, yeah.
videos are always like creative in a sense. So I do like watching their videos when it comes to like the creative factor.
That's. Do you feel that the market is oversaturated, bland, or has plateaued in some way?
No, not at all.
Really?
You can look at I think a great example is the wave of the QK65 first releasing. Like I recently just sold my QK65 because I needed money. But
Yeah.
if you look at the price of that board when it first came out and the fact that it's only risen in value on Mech Market, and then you see that other keyboards followed suit on that like direction of bringing like high quality for a lower price. Like we had the Zoom 65, then the Zoom TKL, which I still have, and it's beautiful and it's amazing with the glass back, and you
Right.
get that off for a low price. I think it's just becoming more competitive, and they're trying to figure out what they can do with a lower price point. And I even think the new Mode keyboard coming out is really well priced for how much you can configure. And overall, it's just a battle of who can do the best bang for your buck right now. I think that's what the market's at. I don't think it's getting stale because you get to see all these unique new designs. I mean, maybe if you look at the boards on like AliExpress, maybe those might get a little bit stale after a while. But when it comes to like the actual keyboard designers and brands making all these keyboards, like we finally saw a full-size keyboard recently. I think it's like the fossil or something, and the brass weight on the back literally has a fossil. That's like so fucking cool. Like
Yeah, you're right.
so
Okay.
I don't think it's stale. I don't.
Do you feel creatively restricted with your video ideas, or do you feel the need to move on to something other than keyboards?
I mean, I've tried. It doesn't work, man. Like,
Really?
I've made a couple videos on like earbuds or headphones and mice, and what I've noticed is that it's a lot harder to do that when you're lower.
Yeah.
Like when you
definitely.
don't have that many subscribers.
Yeah.
Now, if I grew my channel and then I wanted to like, I think Switch and Click did some videos that weren't keyboard related.
Yeah, like mouse
and
videos.
those did pretty well. But sure, it wasn't like amazing for them.
Right.
But they still did decent enough
That
for them
you could
to like
upkeep it.
It could be like a profit or something, like actually be worth making. But when I did it, I got like 50 views, and the video would like plateau or like get stale around like 200. And when I'm used to getting like 500 in the first week of a video going live, so
Yeah.
it definitely isn't.
Yeah, so it's like a
something
views
that I'd
restriction.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a views restriction because
Exactly.
sure, like I said, I do it for fun, but like at the same time, you want to see that your content is actually being viewed because that makes it's a numbers game. So like, you shouldn't really care. I know it sounds bad that I care too much about views,
No,
but at the same time,
not bad.
it's good to see that like, oh, the content was good enough to be viewed,
Right.
and people are actually interested in what I have to say about that certain product. You get me?
Yeah, I
So,
get that completely.
It's
actually,
about that. That's me.
cool. Okay, so the next question that I would ask would be, what would you suggest to improve the keyboard market or the current situation of keyboard content?
If I'm being honest with you, like I make keyboard content, but I wouldn't say I'm like super deep in the hobby
Yeah.
because it's a hobby for me. You know what I'm saying?
same.
It's not something that I will spend my life looking
Doing.
at
Yeah.
24/7, just researching all the new keyboards. Like sure, I'll see them on Reddit, like on mechanical keyboards, right? That subreddit, and I'll just see like new keyboards coming out. I was like, damn, that's sick, right? But I don't actively go on my way and like keep on looking and looking and looking, because then I'd probably I'd probably get bored. But when it comes to the keyboard content scene, like to be honest with you, there's not much you can do
Yeah.
because it's keyboards one, and two, it's all based around the algorithm. Like
Right. Yeah.
so you're kind of it's kind of like out of your hands. Sure, you don't have to follow like the algorithm,
But
but then your
you get
videos
no
will take
views.
a
Yeah.
hit. So unless you do it towards the algorithm, or like you make your videos a certain way and you're like that popular that you don't have to title it a certain way or do something a certain way, then you'll be fine. But most of the time, you have to just follow what's doing good at the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, makes sense. And last but not least, anything else you would like to say?
I think it's cool that we're going cheaper in prices. I've always been one that, I mean, I'm a penny pincher. So getting into the mechanical keyboard hobby was definitely a stretch when it came to money wise back in the day.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest with you, I think more boards should just follow suit with doing lower price tags. I know some people might want the high quality ones, but at the same time,
Yep.
to get more people to buy them or like to get more people to know about the hobby, you want the prices to be lower. And
Yeah.
I don't want to gatekeep keyboards. Like I tell everybody I know about keyboards that like don't even know about it because once they get it, they're like, wow, this feels so nice. And that's like the whole point. You want someone to enjoy what they're typing on. So the less we can have high price tags and the more we can get quality at those lower price tags. Because sure, there's quality, right? But then if you go to like, I don't know, like not the bash, but like if you like an RK61 nowadays is kind of outdated.
Exactly.
Right? I'm talking about like high quality keyboards that don't require any modding, that are great for just entry level people
And
that
they
can just like
cost
get into the hobby. And
their
they
budget.
cost
Yeah.
relatively budget friendly, you know?
Okay.
And I think one of my favorite keyboards at the moment, surprisingly, is the Akko's like new sub brand, the Monsgeek M1.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen that one. Yeah, it's like
I still need
it's
to
like
review that.
$100. Yeah, it's
I
like
know.
$100, and like everything about it is great. I mean,
It's really
I
good.
like
yeah.
how it's my main board at the moment. Like I have like more expensive boards, and I just have them on the side because I just like how it feels and looks. So
Yeah, I get
honestly, if more boards can follow suit of that, or just have good quality pre-builds like Akko does. But I think the problem with the pre-builds is I've noticed that sure those are high quality, or like in terms of stabilizers and no rattle. But the problem is the plates are always steel, and steel plates
Yeah.
don't sound
They
good
ping.
at all.
Right.
They ping a lot, and you can have like foam in the case, but sometimes even with the foam in the case, you still hear the ping, and also they just sound bad.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whenever you use the space bar on like I just got a keyboard that I'm reviewing actually for tomorrow, but it's it sounds great. The stabilizers have like zero rattle in them, and the switches are pre-lubed. But the space bar sounds like it's like slamming on the steel
Oh, yeah.
plate whenever you click it. So like you can't even tell that it sounds good because all you hear is like slam every single time you click the
Right.
space bar, and it's not even a clicky switch. It's just a linear. So if we could swap out the steel plate for maybe like a
Plastic.
I don't know, an FR4,
Yeah, FR4 is
FR4
also
maybe, because FR4 is like a neutral, right?
Yeah,
So
you're right.
it sounds like it's like the best way to go for pre-builds. I just think we should have FR4 plates in pre-built keyboards. About it.
Yeah, that would make
I
sense.
think for cheaper boards, it just sounds like the most. Because FR4 plates aren't they just made out of the same material as
As
the PCB?
PCBs. Yeah.
Yeah, so it sounds like it'd be the easiest one to do. I would assume. I don't know
Yeah.
enough, but
So first things first, are you burnt out on keyboards or the hobby in general?
Yes. It's very sad, but I've been burnt out on keyboards for a really long time.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. If you want to elaborate, you can. If you don't want to, then it's okay. We can move on.
Yeah, I think I'll elaborate a bit. So
Okay.
it came down to FOMO in like my first year in the hobby. I sort of kind of rushed into trying everything I could without stopping and enjoying like the nuances of like one switch versus another. I didn't really appreciate the view. I just kind of rushed to my destination.
Yeah.
And that kind of led to where things are.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So the next question is slightly related. Do you still enjoy watching keyboard content?
Personally, I stopped watching like keyboard reviews and
Yeah.
things like that with the interest of buying it. I
Yeah,
stopped
same.
sort of watching like videos, oh, do I want to buy this? Because I kind of got to a point in the hobby where I was fine with what I had, and so now I just watch like people like Glarsis and Squashyboy. They sort of like take the concept of keyboards and like expand further.
Yeah.
Like Glarsis just did that super large keyboard,
Right.
things like that. But other than that, I just watch keyboard content from those people and content from creator friends and people I look up to in the hobby,
Yeah.
just to kind of support them and see what they're up to, things like that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's great. That's actually that seems to be the general like answer for this question. A lot of us don't like reviews anymore. Stop watching reviews. Stop buying keyboards from reviews, and we just watch entertainment or like really high effort stuff like Avi or Deboki or stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, makes sense.
Things like that.
Okay, cool. Next question is: do you feel the market is oversaturated, bland, or that it has plateaued in some way?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that the market is very oversaturated in terms of like budget and entry level keyboard kits. I feel like now over the last like year we still keep, even now we still keep seeing like $100 $150 gasket mount keyboards that all
Right.
seem to give you a really nice premium bouncy feel. But we've seen like, 15 20 of them at this point.
Right.
But in terms of plateau, I think we've sort of plateaued with MX switches.
Yeah.
I think we've sort of reached like the peak of what you can achieve in like even like a stock switch. Like there's
Yeah.
this switch, the cream soda.
Right.
I think is very widely regarded like one of the best stock switches. I have them, and I don't feel the need to buy another MX linear.
Next question is: do you still enjoy building keyboards?
Off camera, yes, I do still enjoy like building and tinkering with keyboards,
Yeah.
but I think there's like a certain amount of guilt that comes with that, and I think it kind of comes from being like a content creator.
Right.
Like I have this build and I want to like show it off kind of, but at the same time like I don't want to go through all the effort of like filming and editing,
Right.
things like that. And so there is a certain amount of guilt that comes with that, but I think to keep enjoying the hobby, you do need to sort of
Yeah.
like restrict how much you show.
Do you feel creatively restricted with your video ideas or the need to move on to something other than keyboards?
Yeah, I definitely feel restricted with like keyboards. And I think the problem with all the creators who are in this problem is we've
Yeah.
all, I think at least from my perspective, I feel like I've pigeonholed myself into like making on this my channel currently. I feel like it's very hard to like do anything else.
Yeah.
And we've seen it with a ton of other creators, like even ones that are largely tech based, so not just keyboards but mice and headsets.
Right.
A lot of those reviews, like if you consider views and things like that, which you don't have to, but if you want to
Right.
look at it from like a content perspective, the views on those are just so much like lower
Less than
the keyboards, yeah.
Right.
So it's like from a content perspective, like okay, people like keyboards, let's keep making keyboard content.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't like keyboards anymore, so
Right.
it's like
Makes sense. Yeah. You don't
yeah,
like
so
making
I've
content about the keyboard.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think keyboards are very restrictive now, and for me, alongside I think a whole ton of other creators are starting to at least think about exploring different avenues in terms of content.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
So
What would you suggest to improve this situation or make you more satisfied with the keyboard hobby as a whole?
I think with in terms of keyboards, keycaps, and switches, I think we need to explore different avenues. Like with switches, for example, I
Right.
think the MX switch we've kind of like I mentioned before, we've plateaued. So I think we can, as a hobby, maybe try like Alp switches or
Right.
things like that.
Or new materials that aren't just
Yeah,
plastic.
new materials
Yeah.
would also help. Which I feel like that'd be difficult because I think with switches there's a lot of different materials we've tried. Yeah. So I think we also do need more innovation which is like it's hard to like just say we need more innovation
Right.
because I'm not one of those people who can like design or
Mhm.
do. I'm just a consumer at the end of the day. But yeah, I think we do need more innovation because even now, like we still see like the same keyboard come out with like different brands, putting their own
Right.
spin on it,
Mhm.
and I think it's only like every couple months we get something that really like shifts the market.
Mhm.
And I think even now with the decrease in keyboard like
Yeah.
interest in the hobby in general, more like less and less companies are starting to, want to stay in keyboard. Like we saw
Right.
this like US based vendor Prevail. They
Mhm.
closed.
They
Like
closed?
they closed.
Damn, I didn't know. What the hell?
Yeah. They fully closed. And we don't know why, but
Mhm.
I think one can assume it might be.
Margins were too tight. Like,
Yeah, margins were too tight. Interest in the hobby has been
right.
down since like July.
Mhm.
As creators, all of our views have been we just
We're being
slowly
down.
watched it go further, further, further down.
Mhm.
Um, it's really hard because we need something that will really like spark the hobby again.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a sinking ship right now. The
Right.
hobby is just going into the water, and we can
Mhm.
either just try and salvage it,
Yeah.
or I think what most people are doing in terms of both people in the hobby and
Yeah.
content creators, they're just hopping on another boat. Like,
Right. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Um, the last question is there anything else you'd like to say? Just relating to anything.
yeah, I think the keyboard hobby will always have like a special place in my heart.
Mhm.
It sort of made me like find a passion for content creation.
Right.
And not only that, like discovering like how to edit, how I bought a camera, which led to an interest in photography. It's sort of like this
Right.
chain reaction of things
Exactly.
that would have never happened
Mhm.
had I not gotten into keyboard in the first place.
Yeah.
Not only that, I've met so many like content creators who, inspire me and like I see
Right.
what they're doing and I'm like, damn, I want to try that now.
Mhm.
And again, like that wouldn't happen without keyboards. So I think regardless of what happens with the hobby, like 1 year, 2 year, 5 years from now,
Mhm.
I think we can all look back at this period as like almost like a fever dream.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I'll always be, keyboard will always be special to me.